Good morning, afternoon, however you want to see it. Is noon straight up on Thursday, March 4th, and I'm excited to bring to you what I have mislabeled as episode 8, it's really episode 9, and a conversation about leadership. We've come from the journey of looking at why are we leading? Are we leading to grow others? Are we leading to grow ourselves? Are we leading just to grow the entity that we serve and grow it? Today, I want us to take a segue and ask ourselves another set of challenging, hard, but good questions. Are we really sitting at the conversation of leadership today from the standpoint of wanting to examine why I am wanting to grow? What is it that I'm wanting to grow? What is it that I'm wanting to do? What is it that I want to achieve? So today we want to look at leadership from the standpoint of understanding growth is a choice. And as we come, we ask ourselves the simple question, or is it really a choice? So as we go through this conversation, feel free to shout out, give some comments in the comments below. I'd rather this be an interaction of conversation and discussion as opposed to just me giving and you not really growing and walking away for anything that we've given. Eddie, what's up, buddy? Thank you for joining us as we look at growth as a choice. And in that sidebar of the conversation, we ask the question, or really, is it? Isn't growth also the means of us maturing, getting better, helping others around us to get better as we move forward? So we ask the question, what do we really mean? Sometimes our situations around us bring forth a greater opportunity to grow than our own initiative left by ourselves. So sometimes we need to reflect back on situations, past situations that are in our lives, and ask ourselves, did we have more discovery because of a situation that we were thrown into or pulled into, as opposed to a situation where we just planned out some blueprints of our own growth? So today, let's examine growth from these two perspectives. Those perspectives are active growth and passive growth. So both areas of growth are important, and both areas of growth are there for the sake of helping us become better. And by better, I mean better fathers, better husbands, better coworkers, whatever your career is. Put that noun of subject matter in there, what you're an expert at. But what we understand is this conversation about growth helps us come to the picture of exercise. So as we exercise, we understand that we have a choice in exercising, period. We can either make a choice to go out for a run, or we can look at exercise from the standpoint of my dog got out of the house, or I can remember back to when I was probably 6 or 7 years old, somebody left the neighbor's chicken coop door open, and we're in a subdivision. We're not really even in a rural farming community. We're in a subdivision. And I can remember as a little kid running around chasing chickens. In that chase, there's a pursuit of all kinds of things. I'm like, man, those chickens got claws. They got like whatever you call those things on their feet. And I'm thinking about like the spurs on the back of their leg. I don't think I want to grab that chicken. But that exercise of chasing the chicken still has my heart pounding, no different than if I chose to go for a run. So what we have today in our conversation is this conversation of active and passive growth. We can either choose and plan out our day to go for a run for exercise, or we can understand that there's sometimes life situations that cause us to go exercise. It just happens that both of those have a choice, and that choice is, am I going to participate in this journey, in this walk, or not? So today, I hope you're choosing to run. I hope you're choosing to run for the sake of your cardiovascular health in leadership, that you're going to create some longevity in your leadership as you pursue your role in leadership. People look to you. It doesn't matter what you think, say, or believe. People are still going to look to you and look at how you handle situations. So whether the chickens are running free or going for a run today, you're going to ask for yourself to be in that situation, for your heart to get pumping. So in my career, those that know me well would testify that Matt Johnson is best summarized that he would really prefer to be proactive in most situations instead of just laissez-faire stepping back and being reactive. What happens when we are proactive, both in our leadership growth or in any event that we might be overseeing or responsible for, is we get the opportunity to live through a situation where you're leading people or events. But I want you to also realize that when you lead an event or you organize an event, you're still shaping and leading people that are coming to that would-be event. So today I want to look at the picture of proactivity and our planning and our preparedness as we address both unknown issues and even hypotheticals. But we need to also remember proactivity demonstrates several things to the world around us. Actually, it's a demonstration of leadership. It demonstrates a value set to the community that watches, and it's communicating to them your responsibility and your preparedness. It's a demonstration of your proactivity. And then secondly, it's demonstrating a value of simply caring for the sake of those that will be there and showing value to their time, exercising your resources, and making them best suited to be a value receiver in that event or in that time. So today we're going to look at 10 different topics to help you be a better leader. So my question for you today is whether it's a proactive or a passive approach, that you're going to engage this in such a way that you're going to stir the pot of either one, however you got involved into the situation. Oftentimes, reactive situations come to us as a critique or a rebuke or a criticism. Though you and I choose how we respond to that. Are we going to search for the truth that's in that statement that it really applies to me, even if 100% isn't true, even looking for the 2 to 3 to 10 to 30% that will bring me shaping change? So my question really is, are you proactive in your plan? Are you seeking ways to overrun your weaknesses? I'll say it again. Are you actually seeking ways to overturn and overrun your weaknesses, meaning push those aside from being weaks and creating them to be strengths? And my fear is all too often, sometimes we simply feel like we are just chasing chickens in our leadership, that we're not really doing much but being part of the chaos. When I was a kid, I was just part of the chaos. I don't think I ever once caught a chicken, but I was part of running around like a madman stirring up that pot. So today, hopefully, we can move from running in circles or even assumptions and move to experiences that make you and I into what we really need to be for those around us. So if you have a pen, you have a piece of paper you can look in the notes of this, but I listed the 10, but I didn't give the details to them. So the first of the 10 is practicing servant leadership. As a leader, your fundamental job is to remove the barriers that your staff or the people around you face to do their jobs. So this could include colleagues or even family, and identifying for them the priorities that would help empower them to be as successful as possible. At the end of the day, people don't want to make the decision on their own. They want to be heard. They want listen to take place. They don't just want to be heard. They want to see that you're listening. Additionally, show appreciation. Say thank you as much as possible and mean it. Understand that's not just a given, just to say thank you, but also to mean it. People want their efforts to be acknowledged. It builds up their sense of commitment and their sense of loyalty. It took me a while to understand that colleagues reward subordinates with promotions, pay, recognition, and choice assignments because they like and respect and they trust you. You make them look good. Knox is a gentleman who is the CEO of Inova. He's talked through several of these points, and that's where I've drawn many of these points. But he himself explains as a CEO that there is a personal characteristic that are the most important as you work toward leading people. Some people want to get ahead, and you need to know that they want to work hard to get ahead. Others want to stay right where they're at. They're comfortable doing the person that just keeps churning and putting out product, and they don't have anywhere to go. For you to know that is important because you can help them be encouraged right where they're at to get to where they want to go. The second thing is be candid. Be candid about your own weaknesses. Be honest with people. Speak the truth. With your superiors and both your coworkers, you need to esteem yourself before them in a way that they understand both your strengths and your weaknesses. And you might be hearing this as, Matt, how do you esteem your weakness? You don't let the disillusion occur that somebody thinks you're good at something that you're not. So go ahead and make that statement, this isn't my strongest suit. So-and-so would be better fit at it. If you're working in a team setting or directly with a superior, you need to communicate with them both your strengths and your weaknesses. The good news is when you communicate your weaknesses, guess what happens? You identify them and you start to give action and traction to making them to become one of your strengths. While this strategy may feel very vulnerable, being open will encourage your colleagues to compensate for the gaps in your skills so that the performance of your team does not suffer. You're actually helping them understand, don't throw me the ball outside the three-point line. I'll never make it. The third thing relates to the first that you see there, and that is admit your mistakes. Simply put, full admission of your mistakes communicates to both yourself and them that you need to move forward and you want to learn. That's the biggest thing about growth, is understanding that there's a need. There's a need for me to work and achieve and aim at growth. So as we press into this, we understand that sometimes in those conversations, this fourth thing is the biggest that you need to have. Understanding when and where and how to say those very words of, I am sorry. Apologizing communicates a personal strength and a self-confidence that stimulates and turns away all anger within those that are in your team. When somebody feels that they have been wrong, they want you to feel their pain. Understanding the apology fills the void of where the illusion of lack of humility is. An apology is the utmost of ability to exercise humility. So the fifth of the 10 is these. Tell people when you simply don't understand. That's okay. You can ask for clarification. You cannot meet somebody else's needs if you don't understand what their needs are. Very, very simple truth. As a spouse or as a parent, don't ever assume somebody's needs that are not being spoken to you. Ask, clarify those. You might need to say something. Just help me understand, or help me get a better picture of what you mean. This helps that person feel valued. This helps them feel respected. And most of all, it helps them be heard, so then they can also then be drawn to that conversation and they've closed that gap, and now they also feel closer to you. So the 6th of the 10 is this. Tell people also how you feel. Now be careful about this. Be a little bit guarded about this. Don't tell them off as you tell them how you feel, but simply be clear and transparent of what you're going through. Telling people how you feel builds trust at the same time as you're telling people that you want and need and are able to be led. If you speak to your feelings, you build a personal bond that is such stronger than anything else you can share with your team. You're also sharing knowledge. Simply put, the message, I'm clever, is less valuable than cultivate in a personal relationship to somebody else that the message you're really trying to say is, I'm super excited about what we're doing. The 7th is this. Do you want your superiors, or do you want to portray to your superiors that you will do whatever it takes to get what they're asking done? Put off the positive energy of, hey, I got this, as opposed to the negative, pessimistic attitude of, there's no way that this is possible. Much learning in our professional space takes place in the forms of imitation. That's why it's important to understand the 6 people who are in your world around you. You're going to understand that those actions and attitudes of them rub off on you. That's why it's important for you to understand who those 6 are. To learn and define the best person possible to work with and work for is an exhausting task, but working closely with an experienced individual who is an expert in their area is life-giving. It's energizing. So if you can stay close to this person and do whatever they're asking you to do, as long as it's right and honorable, this is going to help both his job and your job as you press forward. They're going to gain confidence in you, and you're going to gain perspective from them. And at the same time, both you and the team become successful. So the 8th of 10, we're almost done, so you can get back to work as you enjoy your lunch listening to this chaos. The 8th one is this. Stand for something that is greater than yourself. That might be your faith. That might be a cause. That might be a social action that helps those around you. It might be a new well to a community in Africa, and you want to do what you can to support it. But standing for something that is greater than you moves you outside of yourself. Standing behind a cause is imperative to your leadership success because it builds also respect. Being upfront about what you're strong about, being an advocate for what others see you advocating for in a heart of genuine, authentic, ethical, and brings forth admiration from the people that are around you. Now, you're not doing it for the admiration only. You're doing it for the strength that you get by being somebody that stands for what you believe, working for a cause which benefits those around you. So what you get to be in this eighth one is a champion for your family, your faith, your environment, whether it's racial equality, social justice, whatever you feel passionate about, take a stand and move forward and move the ball. The ninth is this: practice direct talk, a challenging one. Speaking directly builds trust. Don't beat around the bush. Don't leave things out that should be included. But understand that you give an example to address conflict directly. Sometimes it's a challenge to address it promptly. But when you get to speak direct, you get to speak in a way that you can deliver constructive criticism without an invitation or without it being solicited. But you can deliver that truth to somebody. Maybe it's an upline leader. They don't get to be a better leader unless people below them are giving them better things to move forward on. So you get the honest position. You get the noble position. Give that criticism with grace, even if it's not solicited, but you see how it will help. Now, you might have to figure out the Oreo cookie method of life, how I put that great frosting in the middle of those two outside layers. But you get to understand it's a gift to them. It helps grow them, and it helps grow you. But the delivery is very important. So don't dismiss the delivery. The 10 is this: understanding in your life how you come to a position where you only speak well of others. That's a struggle because sometimes you're also trying to give detail to help people along and help people understand how to work well with one another. While it's a good idea to offer constructive criticism, speaking about another person's weakness or their failures has to be in the right tone and the right attitude. You can't be doing it in a way that it is secondarily destroying the trust of that person in which you're speaking with or that person you are speaking to. Not to mention the triangle of criticism that takes place where these third-party conversation undermines everyone's communication skills. The goal of this conversation today is to look at how do I approach being instrumental in my own growth from a proactive standpoint. Yeah, a lot of times our greatest growth comes when we have been criticized or somebody does that ability to speak truth to me to cause me to grow. And then I have to engage with it. So that's kind of the passive coming to me and activating me. But we get to the opportunity today to stop and look at how do I get to bring forth my interpersonal skills and bring my authentic personality, my willingness to be vulnerable, and connect those with ultimate leads and leaders to help bring you to a place where you're moving to be better today than you were tomorrow. Sometimes that's the reflection of understanding who's around you, but sometimes we forget the fact that we have to be leaders of our own leadership. For our own leadership to be successful, we have to step back and find those that feed us, coach us, help us, and move us to be better. There are many of you who have joined this conversation, and I just accidentally, sorry, they already threw your comments on. I'm actually going to put those up. Understand sharing your service leadership. Thanks, everybody, for writing those down for me and putting them back in here so we can put them forward. But we understand we have to be engaged. When we're not engaged, things fall to the wayside. Things start to have decay and corruption around us. We have to be strong. We have to be vulnerable. At the same time, we have to be personable and authentic. Most of all, we need to be anchored into the one that gives us the greatest hope because he's given us the greatest freedom. And that is the one who has the ability to both understand your sin in your heart and say, man, no one will listen to me because, man, they know how bad I was once. Maybe you need to introduce them to the king that made you great. So today, hopefully this conversation on leadership helps anchor and move you to a place that is helpful. And hopefully it helps you wrestle with the question, is my growth really a choice? Or is there elements that are working in, on, and around me to help me be greater? And I think it's a both and. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing. Allie, Christina, Eddie, thank you for taking the time to listen. And I appreciate your thoughts and comments as we look at being intentional with our plan of leadership. Thank you for your 15, 20 minutes you spent with me today.